Well, welcome back to Reason and Theology. This is a show that I didn't think I would be doing, but I think it is necessary to do. Um, and I'll explain why here in just a moment. So I've been alerted to some alleged leaked audio between Bishop Strickland and John Henry Weston. Um, of course, there's been a lot of speculation on what happened with John Henry Weston at LifeSite News. We've kind of seen different people offer different opinions. We've seen what the board has said. We've also seen, even just earlier today, I showed y'all where John Henry Weston appears to be contesting the decision and appears to be claiming that he's still the CEO and all of that. But simultaneous to that, we're now hearing of some alleged audio leaks that may shed perhaps some light on what happened with the board and John Henry Weston. And I'm not taking sides with Bishop Strickland or with John Henry Weston. It seems like they kind of had some tension in the audio. I'm not taking sides with anyone. Um, my big concern before I play the audio for you, which I know some other content creators have already released the audio. I'm going to show you one of them, for example, Eternal Life Plan, Christine Harrington, I believe, may be the first person. So we're going to take a look at it and how she says that she obtained it and all that. Before I play it for y'all, look aside from what I personally think of Bishop Strickland, LifeSite News, John Henry Weston, any of the people involved, I'm going to be consistent here. I think it's important for all of us, myself included, to be cautious, to withhold judgment on anybody, assume everyone is innocent. Don't take people's word for it when it comes to accusations. Also, don't assume that they're lying if they bring forward an accusation. I suspend judgment. I don't have the full picture. I haven't heard all sides of the stories and from all parties. I'm only hearing some alleged audio leaks, and that might give me a skewed perspective that doesn't substantiate anything, that doesn't tell me who's in the right, who's in the wrong. So I want everyone to keep in mind, for all parties involved, it's important. I have to urge everyone to keep in mind. Let's give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Let's not jump the gun. Let's not immediately assume. Let's not take sides. Whether we like somebody or not, whether we agree with them or not, I think everybody's entitled to their good name. Everybody's entitled to the benefit of the doubt, until evidence clearly weighs, in favor or against somebody. So I say that for all parties involved, for everyone involved. And, there's also a, slight possibility that some of this could be altered. Some of it could be AI. Who knows? It doesn't seem like it's AI to me. But that's a possibility. I've seen people send me AI videos of myself, and it looked just like me and sounded just like me. And I know it wasn't me because it's me speaking in Spanish, and I know I don't speak Spanish. So, but it sounds exactly like me, and I'm speaking fluent Spanish in the video. So unless I need an exorcism, AI is really good. So, I mean, for all I know, it's just made up stuff, right? Then again, it very well may not be. Christine is going to explain why she thinks it's not, who her source of it is, and all that. So, but look, I just point that out there in the remote event that some of this is doctored, not by her, but by somebody else, or that it's entirely made up, just completely, because that's possible in this day and age. Just kind of keep those things in mind, until there's been a just thorough analysis of everything and we've heard all parties involved. Just suspend judgment. Maybe we'll hear pretty soon from Bishop Strickland. We'll hear from John Henry Weston and others, maybe, and let's see what they have to say, right? And let's give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Let's do that, okay? So before, I wanted to make sure that we cover that before anything else. Now, let me go ahead and share my screen, show you what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to play part of this for you. I already have a link to what she has posted on her channel for the full thing. I'm not going to play the entire thing with all of the accusations against John Henry Weston. You can go and listen to her video if you want that, okay? I'm just going to play about 20 minutes or so of the audio, especially the part with Bishop Strickland and John Henry Weston. And you can go at your own time, listen to the whole thing, make of it whatever you will. Looks like she's going to be coming out with a part two later on, I guess today. But she released moments ago, one day yesterday. Moments ago, I was given leaked information on why John Henry Weston was fired. This is the real deal. Tune in tonight at 8 p.m. Right here on my YouTube channel, and then she has the video here. It's like an hour and 20 minutes long. I already have a link to it in the show notes. Go and watch the whole thing. I'm not reproducing the whole video in this video. You can go and watch the thing there, but I will play about 20 minutes of the audio. So let's also maybe watch her prefatory remarks on how she says that she obtained this audio that's allegedly a board meeting at LifeSite News that allegedly has to do with why Weston was removed, that is allegedly the voice of Bishop Strickland, allegedly the voice of John Henry Weston. And then later on in the video, she has alleged audio of people saying here's their problems with John Henry Weston, raising accusations that I'm not getting into. And again, I assume I give everybody, all parties involved, the benefit of the doubt on the accusations that are made. Okay. That being said, with all those qualifications in mind, I got this downloaded version of the video so that we don't get like ads or anything like that. Let's maybe start at the very beginning here so that we can find out from her how she obtained this alleged audio. Please let me know if there's any difficulties in hearing everything as we proceed.
I want to welcome all the new viewers that are watching tonight, all my friends that have come forward as well that's watching tonight. This will be a wild one, and I scrapped the show that I originally was going to do tonight because of this urgent, time-sensitive email that I received this afternoon. And I'm going to tell you something, it really shook me. So buckle up, everyone. This afternoon, I received an email from an anonymous board member of LifeSite News. In the email, which I'll read to you shortly, this person shared a digital audio file of the alleged July 2nd, 2025 LifeSite News board meeting. The people on this recording are Steve Jasovic, Robert Hoover, the COO, Royce, Bishop Strickland, Brian, Patrick, Tony, John Henry Weston, Dominic, and Ann. And I'm not completely sure yet which one of those are the 9 that belong to the board. In this alleged audio file, you'll hear the
By the way, I did not know. I mean, maybe I'm just ignorant, right? I had no idea that Bishop Strickland was on the board at LifeSite News. That explains so much. Okay, now that makes sense.
Distinguishable voices of John Henry Weston and Bishop Strickland.
And yeah, and it sounds authentic. And I see people in the chat saying there's no way it's AI. It sounds exactly like them. Yeah, look, believe me, I get that. I think most likely it is authentic. I'm just holding out because AI is really good. That's all I'm saying.
You'll hear Bishop Strickland pushing back at Weston after Weston threw Bishop Strickland under the bus. You'll also hear the voices of other board members and employees of LifeSite News giving their alleged statements to the board on why John Henry Weston must be fired. The recordings appear authentic and complete and not altered. You'll hear pauses and startovers. I left everything intact with the exception I did cut the recording into 3 clips because I could not upload the entire recorded file to the streaming platform.
And somebody's saying in the chat, Bishop Strickland was not on the board. Apparently, he was associated as a spiritual advisor. Okay. All right. Good. Thank you.
But I did not alter anything. And you'll clearly be able to hear that I did not. I did not upload the beginning for time's sake because this board meeting recording is an hour and a half long. Took me a while to go back and keep replaying segments. But I will play it all in it. I will play it all in upcoming podcasts. So what you'll hear tonight is the most damning information of this alleged board meeting. And by the end of this podcast, I hope you come to the same conclusion I have come to. And this was before I heard this recording, but it more than submits my support for LifeSite News now. We must support LifeSite News. The employees of LifeSite News are the alleged victims, not John Henry Westen.
To which I'm just going to say again, I remind everybody, just suspend judgment for all parties involved until we have all the information, right? So whether you like John Henry Westen or not, suspend judgment there. Whether you like people on the board or employees or not, suspend judgment. You know, because we're kind of only getting one side of the story type of thing here. We want to hear all parties involved, their responses, stuff like that. Okay.
I've never asked you to share my videos. I'm asking you to share this one for the sake of the 60 employees at LifeSite News. Let's begin with the email I received. I'm going to read it to you to protect the source's email. It came to my inbox about 1:40 this afternoon. I'm writing to formally disclose evidence of illegal activities and misconduct committed by John Henry Westen, former CEO and co-founder of LifeSite News, which were concealed during his abrupt removal from the organization. On July 2nd, 2025, I attended a closed board meeting where explicit details of his actions were presented, directly contradicting his public claims about the circumstances of his departure. The attached link contains a full recording of the meeting up to the board vote. And he's right, that or her, whoever sent this to me, that's when it cut off, was at the board vote. Let me say that again. The attached link contains a full recording of the meeting up to the board vote, capturing documentation of several illegal activities by John Henry. This material provides irrefutable proof of wrongdoing that jeopardized the organization, its employees, and its stakeholders.
Now, again, keep in mind, John Henry Westen will be able to speak his piece and give his side of the story. For me, all this is alleged. For me, all of this is not conclusive. And, I urge everybody to suspend judgment for everyone involved.
As someone with firsthand knowledge of LifeSite News operations, I have a moral and ethical obligation to expose these facts. Westen's ongoing public deception has escalated risks to the organization's reputation and legal standing. I request that you, one, act immediately to review the recording before the 24-hour expiration deadline.
Now, again, this is from an anonymous source who's allegedly a board member and allegedly recorded it. I'm not saying that Christine is wrong in any of this. Like that, she's saying that's who it is, right? Um, that it could be a board member, right? It also could be just somebody contacting Christine claiming to be a board member, but they're not, and they made something up in AI, right? That's possible. It might be unlikely. Some might argue, sure, okay, I understand that, but I'm just saying, hey, look, anything can be done these days. So I'm a little cautious when I hear anonymous stuff like that.
Number 2, investigate these claims thoroughly, including cross-referencing financial records or interviewing board members present at the meeting. Number 3, guaranteed my anonymity throughout this process, as retaliation from Westen or his associates is a serious concern. This evidence is time sensitive. Please confirm receipt and next steps within 24 hours to ensure accountability. For security, I recommend using secure communications for further communications. Sincerely, Anonymous. Now, by the time I got to all of this, it was after 5 o'clock. But tomorrow you can bet that I will be calling LifeSite News and try to talk to board members. So that is the email I got at 1:40
at all
that you're going to hear.
All right, here's the audio.
Notice if I can speak, I'm happy to hear it too.
FYI, this sounds like John Henry Westen, allegedly, right?
No advance notice that any of this was happening at all. And I'm somewhat shocked by it because I didn't realize this was happening. I wasn't told. I wasn't told that directors are coming on or a presentation was being made. So I didn't know it. I wonder where, Brian, you got your information from, because it's not accurate what you said about my reaction to the survey. I wondered about the stats being 100%, but also you say attack the survey or an attack. There is no attacking. And not only that,
the survey in question is allegedly a survey that was allegedly for everyone at LifeSite News about the organization. And allegedly, according to a person later on in the audio, it was very critical of the results were very critical of John Henry Westen.
Very much questioned whether I shouldn't resign from leadership as well. That was totally in my mind. So whoever fed you the information that said, oh, it's not to consider the evidence or information and not to consider doing things and just attack the survey, that's a lie. Did I question the survey results? Yeah, absolutely, because I was presented with something that was given to me all of a sudden, and I didn't have any clue about it. I was given a text by Bishop Strickland that basically said you're not fit for leadership.
Okay, so all right, so allegedly this is John Henry Westen saying that Bishop Strickland allegedly told him he's not fit for leadership because of an alleged survey that went out to all of LifeSite News that allegedly indicated that they weren't happy with John Henry Westen and the direction and all that. Okay, all right, that's kind of what's going on to catch you all up to speed in case you're confused.
And then I went down to meet him. Thinking to talk, and basically he presented some of the survey and handed me an already written letter saying that I resigned from both the board position and any leadership at LifeSite, and that I could retain a job with LifeSite. I didn't know under what authority that letter was written or who wrote it. Also, though, I asked him if I could pray about it before I signed. He said, well, I got to leave tomorrow, so you have till tomorrow. So in the meantime, I went to as many masses as I could. I prayed as much as I could. I spoke with my spiritual director, with my wife. And as I spoke with my wife there, I told her that, I can probably resign from leadership. She was so aghast at what was being done. It was unbelievable. But I told her, look, if I'm not suited to lead the organization, that's one thing. But I did feel that I shouldn't resign my position on the board. So I thought of perhaps asking Bishop if he might take that stipulation out of the letter and I could then sign. But it was right at that second when I was discerning that Bishop texted. And his text said that if I would not agree to sign and resign from the board, he would dissociate from LifeSite.
Wow. Okay. So allegedly Weston is saying that Bishop Strickland allegedly told him, unless you sign this resignation deal according to these stipulations, I'm no longer going to advise LifeSite News. Okay. Now we're about to hear Strickland jump in there and respond.
So I felt that was an answer to prayer. In conscience, I knew I couldn't sign the letter. So when I went back the next day after Mass, Bishop Strickland offered in the hotel room there. I told him of
Strickland's offering masses in a hotel room. I wonder. Okay. All right. I guess this is maybe just one of his daily masses or something.
My discernment and of my prayerful decision that I could not sign the letter. And I was going to explain, but he didn't want an explanation. He said how he felt like the Mass that he had just celebrated was like a funeral Mass. And I asked him if I could explain, and he said no, and he left. I did tell him that, I harbor no ill feeling towards you. And he said, well, he's grateful for that, and he left. So that's why this is so sudden.
All right, so now this is allegedly Bishop Strickland who interjects, and it does admittedly sound like him. Okay, so I don't know.
John Henry, you can't lay this off on me.
I'm not. I'm just telling what happened.
Can you turn the sound out, please?
An interested party, and we gave you the chance to know about this very devastating survey that I know is hard to hear, and you basically discounted it. I believe that LifeSite has a mission that is important, and that's why I'm here, because the world and the church needs the truth. It doesn't need the slants and the opinions that have taken over LifeSite.
Ooh, well, I've been calling out the slants and opinions of LifeSite News for a while. It's nice to hear Bishop Strickland confirming that, although ironically, I would say it still applies also to Bishop Strickland and his slants and his opinions, but that's a different story for a different day.
I believe that if the board, with an open heart and mind, listens to the two employees and what they have to say, I know what the decision I would make. That's your decision. I will pray for you. I am in a position here. I was Bishop of Tyler. I was removed because I spoke truth to power. I know there are tons of opinions, but
I've shown on this channel that's not the reason why he was removed, but that is the narrative he continues to make.
But I know what's in my heart. I'm in a different position here. As a bishop, I needed advisors, and I tried to turn to advisors all the time. Deacon Keith was a wonderful advisor. But as bishop, I had the authority.
Deacon Keith Fournier, that explains a lot. If that was Bishop Strickland's advisor, that explains a lot. Mm-hmm.
Here, I'm the advisor. I have no authority. I have the authority of a bishop and the responsibility of speaking the truth. LifeSite needs to get back to proclaiming truth that the world and the church needs desperately.
Oh, so he feels evidently they're not teaching the truth anymore, if, again, allegedly. That's interesting. Wow. Well, what has changed? Because it appears to me that all the criticisms they had of Pope Francis, they could easily just still continue to map on to Pope Leo. So what's all of a sudden changed?
we were told.
By the way, I'll tell you what's changed. A declining in their readership. That's what's changed. According to them, they admit that, a declining in the readership. That's what's changed. So, yeah.
That if things don't turn around, LifeSite will cease to exist. I would believe that would be a tragedy for everyone involved, including John Henry. But I am here because I felt the need to speak up myself and to say these employees have no power. They're not the ones with power. The power is right here. And the board needs to take that power and guide LifeSite News to proclaim the truth and not proclaim opinions. So that is basically what I need.
Amen, which is why they need to stop platforming Bishop Strickland. But okay.
Needed to say, and I will sign off because you need to listen, all of you. But for John Henry to basically set this up as some sort of ambush by me is totally inaccurate and not fair at all, because we could have just let him deal with this without knowing about it. He read Brian's survey. He read it. The full text was given. I saw him read it, and he rejected it. And when I said that I would have to disaffiliate with LifeSite, he basically said, goodbye. And it's not about me, but for LifeSite to simply say, a successor of the apostles.
Oh boy, there he goes again with that. Did I hear that right? Is he saying that allegedly John Henry Westen told him goodbye, like I'm dismissing your counsel, your spiritual direction? But here he goes again with the card of him being a successor of the apostle. He plays that card very often, doesn't he?
But for LifeSite to simply say a successor of the apostles is not significant to have their support. To me, that says something very troubling. So I will keep you all in my prayer.
Irony, right? Given that some of the people in this discussion could care less about the successor of the Apostle Peter and his support, right? Maybe including the speaker in this alleged audio. So that's fascinating the way that works, right? Seems like there was a dismissal of the successor of St. Peter in the previous pontificate by the alleged speaker that we're currently hearing. So it's interesting. He wants people to take him seriously as a successor of the apostle, but he doesn't seem to respect what other successors of the apostles say, let alone the successor of St. Peter, which I've often pointed out numerous times, not to go off on a tangent. When you dissent against the magisterium as a bishop or a cardinal, you're undermining your own authority. Because what you're telling people at that point is, if you can dissent from the Pope, well, guess what? People can dissent from you. All the more dissent from you, especially if you don't hold actually a diocese or a particular flock or anything like that.
I don't know where this will go. I really don't. But I urge you to listen to two good people who are brave enough to speak truth and listen to what they have to say. I'll sign off now because.
So he seems really convinced of the alleged results of the alleged survey of these alleged employees of LifeSite News, allegedly. Notice I keep using the word alleged. Somebody's making fun. Michael's drinking his sparkling ice water, allegedly. That's true. It is allegedly. Although in this case, I can confirm. It is the zero sugar sparkling ice coconut pineapple. Okay. So let's continue a little bit, because John Henry Westen is now going to allegedly jump in there and interject.
Bishop, before you go, this is Royce. I just want to recognize your contribution to the church as well as to LifeSite News. Your presence has been welcomed. I've appreciated your articles and your content. So I appreciate your prayers for the organization. And just please know any points that I've raised are related to understanding what we're doing, the process, and things of that nature. And I appreciate your prayers throughout this, because I think all of us have a heart for doing what's right and for protecting the mission of this organization. So thank you, Bishop, for everything that you've done.
Well, Royce, if I could say this, Bishop, real quickly. Royce, Bishop wanted to hear these employees. So far, they've been squeezed out. And, you know, I think that's a mistake.
If we don't carry on listening to the responses from staff, this is not a real board. You know, we are not.
I don't think anybody's objected to hearing from the board.
We are not doing what we should be doing.
Right.
You know?
I don't think anybody's objected to hearing from the directors.
And let's move forward and do that.
The survey is not Brian. The survey is just what staff told him. We should all be very interested in what the staff told him.
Okay. So there's that part of the audio. There's, after that, some alleged accusations made about John Henry Westen of, you know, a lot of accusations. You know, we'll see if he responds, and I give the benefit of the doubt, you know, and I suspend judgment and all that, but I'm skipping forward. Some people wanted me to play the audio around the 40-minute mark, so let me just do that. Again, y'all can go to Eternal Life Plans channel. I have a link to it if you want to hear this part that I'm skipping at this point. That's fine. Go and listen to the full video there. But here there's supposed to be a speaker who starts to talk about the papacy that several people here in the chat have asked me to play on this stream. So I'll go ahead and do that.
I felt empathy for her and her staff. That's why it bothered me.
Are you speaking? Because you're muted.
Thank you, Patrick. Go ahead, Ann.
Good morning. Actually, it's afternoon. I apologize. I've been asked to come before you today to give you a glimpse of what working for our current CEO has been like for me, as well as my team. Please know that this is not an easy thing for me to do. I take no pleasure in sharing this information with you. I normally keep my head down and I do the work I'm instructed to do. And sadly, I fear and worry that my words today will inevitably have an effect on my current employment status at LifeSite. I've been with LifeSite for almost 4 years now. Last June, I was promoted from the Director of Advertising and Events to the Director of Advertising and Production, which now includes the former marketing and video departments. I currently oversee 14 employees. I have a business administration and marketing degree from the University of Michigan.
All right. Some people are telling me to skip through a little bit just because she's just going over her credentials. So skip about a minute or so here.
Was being given, but not necessarily followed. To put it simply, the feedback from both video and marketing was not good. They complained about unclear direction from John Henry, constant changing of direction, lack of planning, and obvious favoritism towards certain employees. The other complaints that I received was that ever since the LifeSite mission change, it seemed like Pope bashing was all John Henry cared about.
Well, now, you don't say. Gee, I wonder who else has been saying that on YouTube now for several years. Huh. Any names come to mind? Huh.
Nobody felt comfortable complaining or questioning because, and I quote, once John Henry turns on you, you're done, end quote.
Well,
the high rate of LifeSite employee turnover was definitely noticed among my department. Employees do not agree with John Henry on video content or editorial content, but they are too afraid to say anything.
That's interesting. If true, that's encouraging maybe, right?
As a side note, I feel I must also mention that most of my team do not read LifeSite nor watch LifeSite programming.
Dang. If that's true, Well, look, I've worked at McDonald's, although I still ate McDonald's when I worked there, so that's a bad analogy. Um, but it would be like somebody who works at McDonald's but refuses to eat McDonald's. It's not unheard of, okay? It's not unheard of.
Let me repeat that. The majority of my team do not read LifeSite nor watch any of LifeSite's programming. This is deeply concerning to me. Our employees do not understand our current mission statement that was implemented about 2 years ago. What they do understand is our tagline, life, faith, family, and freedom. But they don't see that portrayed in our content offerings.
Wowzers.
I have had staff in my department ask questions such as, are we only reporting on Catholic stuff going forward? Are we still a pro-life news organization? Why are we only pro-life when it's time for the March for Life? Are we going to hate this Pope too?
Oh, boy.
How many more prophecy shows are we going to do that never come true?
Oh, and me and you need to talk. And if you're listening, we need to do a show. Assuming you're not AI, and you know what? Email me Reason and Theology. We need to talk. We need to do a show together because you're saying what I've been saying. Just as a third-party observer of LifeSite News, you're saying exactly what I'm saying. Maybe you watch RNT. I don't know. Golly. Wow.
Is LifeSite a set of a contest group?
Huh. Interesting. Because I know a certain Vikel Mofton, or at least his name rhymes with Vikel Mofton. Isn't that what y'all were calling me a while back? I know a certain Vikel Mofton who was saying, gosh, this is a set of a contest website. And it's the set of a contest arm of the set of a contest Archbishop Vigano.
If you have been following my comments in the monthly board reports, you will have noticed for nearly 9 months now, I have been calling attention to the fact that our content is not balanced. In simple terms, we have abandoned our audience that relied on us for life, faith, family, and freedom.
Well, that would explain why the board was saying that they have had a significant decline in readership. I mean, I would suspect they would. I mean, if you claim to be a Catholic organization, but you're constantly questioning whether the Pope is the Pope and, spreading all sorts of really horrible things about the Catholic Church, I could see why you would have a decline in readership. I get it.
Reporting. We have abandoned them, and they have now gone elsewhere. The decline in page views clearly demonstrates this. We are providing a very narrow product to a very narrow segment of Catholics.
Well, unfortunately, it is growing significantly. At least that's the impression I get. So, in part due to LifeSite News.
Audience is leaving, and these people are not coming back. Last fall, Rob granted marketing permission to post on social media topics that editorial does not cover. Since doing so, our social stats have soared organically and are now at an all-time high. We are desperately trying to fix our toxic brand. Our audience on social media continues to grow while our page views deteriorate. This is deeply concerning to me.
Look, if this is all AI and Anne isn't real, whoever programmed this, they did really good, right? I mean, they evidently have been following the situation really, really well. Obviously, I'm holding out only 1% here that this is AI. Clearly, I think this is 99%, likely to be all authentic.
The deterioration has been gradual, but steady nonetheless. From a business perspective, I did not agree with the mission change 2 years ago. Anytime you make a change that narrows your business line, you take a huge risk. In my opinion, that is when LifeSite struck the iceberg. For the past 2 years, we have been taking on water, a lot of water.
Yep.
All I have observed is John Henry doubling down, defiantly making his way to the bridge and closing the door behind him.
Well, in fairness to John Henry Westen, as I've pointed out, the arguments that LifeSite News used against Pope Francis are the same arguments that can apply to Pope Leo XIV. So unless they are willing to say they were wrong about Pope Francis, it only makes sense to keep it going and keep applying it to Pope Leo XIV. But if all of a sudden they want to stop and say, no, we can't do this to Pope Leo XIV, well, excuse me, then you need to apologize and correct the misinformation that has been spread for years by LifeSite News. I'm not talking about Ann, I'm talking about the organization. It needs to correct that. But it makes no sense to all of a sudden flip-flop and change when the same arguments that were used against Pope Francis could easily be just consistently applied to Pope Leo XIV. Why would you stop that? If it's true, right? So I would understand if John Henry Westen wanted to criticize Pope Leo XIV and they're upset with that. It actually seems like at least John Henry Westen is being consistent in his errors. At least he's not flip-flopping with the times and flip-flopping with what an audience wants to hear. At least he's actually being consistent on the particular point of his error, right? Okay.
He dismisses factual data. He dismisses criticism. He dismisses suggestions. And he dismisses his responsibility, usually by laying blame on someone else. In an effort to improve performance, Rob organized 2 very intense management meetings this year. The first meeting clearly addressed the issue of LifeSite content and our declining performance. That meeting ended with John Henry intervening, pulling directors aside, and shutting down critical conversations and strategizing that was desperately needed. Most of us left feeling frustrated, deflated, and undermined. The second meeting was called in hopes of continuing the conversation and addressing key issues that still needed resolutions. Once again, upon reviewing our declining performance numbers, John Henry refused to take any responsibility for any of his decisions or policies, especially regarding content. Instead, his course of action was to blame others. Data presented showed that our content is overwhelmingly opinionated, negative, and presented in an extremely sensationalized manner.
Yeah, but, Bishop Strickland is part of that. So let's just be consistent here. His opinions fit the bill. He was part of the problem. So it's not just John Henry Westen. It's others as well. So
the business decision was clear, and my team immediately took steps to correct this, especially on social media. John Henry has since instructed me to absolutely always put out opinion pieces, and he continues to instruct my team to spice up titles and captions, i.e. sensationalize them.
Well, I mean, you do have to make it a little, sensationalized. To people won't read things if you don't do that, right? I'm not saying to stretch the truth or anything, but you do have to make a headline, right? So that part I get. But what they often did is they went beyond that, and they would say things that just simply weren't true, and that was the headline. And that was the problem. So I get what she's saying. I get it.
As for our positive posts about Pope Leo, John Henry has advised me that they are too, and I quote, high in the sky. I cannot tell you how this response has affected me and my team, to act in opposition to the hard business data is nonsensical and ultimately harmful.
Where was this attitude towards Pope Francis? Why did it all of a sudden take on with Pope Leo XIV? Honest question. I'm just trying to see the consistency here.
To the brand. I need to also mention one of the troubling topics that was discussed at this last meeting. The fact that we have approximately 5 sedevacantists on staff in key editorial positions.
Dang. Well, you don't say. Seems like I've pointed out. No, Michael Mofton has pointed that out. Let me not pat myself on the back. Michael Mofton. I hear there's this guy, Michael Mofton, out there with a cardboard background who's been saying this stuff. He's been pointing out this is weird. Okay, so that's interesting. Yeah, you don't say. Imagine that.
What I witnessed at this meeting has been bothering me for over a month now. In the presence of Bishop Strickland, Deacon Keith asked John Henry if he knew who the sedevacantists on staff were, and John Henry clearly responded, no. This was a blatant lie, and everyone in the room knew it.
Why would it matter? They've been pumping out articles constantly questioning, and in some cases denying, if they featured Vigano or something, denying that Francis was the Pope. Why is this all of a sudden now an issue? Why wasn't this an issue when Pope Francis was still alive? Why isn't it an issue only under Pope Leo XIV? Honest question. And is LifeSite News changing their position on Pope Francis? And hey, that's fine. I changed my position on him too. I used to be a Pope basher too. I get it. But I was very public about why I changed that, my reasoning, and I corrected the misinformation that I had bought into in good faith. I wonder, will LifeSite News do the same?
This was an embarrassment to watch. Can you imagine the harm that would come to LifeSite if this news became public? If our enemies or if our donors discovered that our CEO has been knowingly employing these people for years and doesn't see a problem with it.
Why would that be an issue? Honest question. I like Ann. I'm just honestly asking rhetorically, Ann, why would that be an issue? Everybody's already known that LifeSite News has been pumping out sedevacantists information. Why would that be a shock? I think everybody already knows that. That's the problem.
This, too, is deeply concerning to me. Lastly, I would like to address the long list that Patrick just presented, specifically the potential illegal activity surrounding the purchase of the studio. I am horrified by the events that have taken place. The level of irresponsible and reckless behavior is unacceptable.
And, look, I'm giving John Henry Westen the benefit of the doubt and all that, and he will have his side of the story and all that. So I'm not saying any allegations aren't true. I'm also not saying that they are true. I don't know because I don't know. I don't have enough information. Look, if you're a judge and you're hearing something, you have to hear both sides, right? And the Bible talks about one side seems right until another man comes and presents the other side. So if all I hear is just accusations and stuff like that, not saying they're not true, but also I don't know because I need to hear the other side. I need to hear all parties involved. And I think everybody's entitled to that, even if they don't do that for others. Even if some of the accused don't do that for others, they're still entitled to that.
John Henry has put this organization at risk many times over the years, but this is by far the most disturbing. His actions have put not only LifeSite at risk, but the 60-some employees and their families at risk as well. His behavior of late, in my opinion, has been selfish, erratic, immoral, unethical, and sadly corrupt. For a company that is supposedly an apostolate dedicated to the Blessed Mother, I am struggling to make sense of things. There is no place in an apostolate for toxicity. There is no place in an apostolate for dishonesty, or deception, or manipulation, or hypocrisy. There is no place in an apostolate for corruption. If the Blessed Mother were sitting in this meeting with us right now, what would she say? I am upset with myself for making excuses for what I have been witnessing, so much so that I needed to consult clergy because of it. I've looked away for too long because we were an apostolate. I feel that I have violated my own moral and ethical code. If John Henry remains as CEO or as part of this organization, I don't know if I can continue to work here knowing what I know. Doing so would make me complicit with his reckless and inappropriate behavior. And it's honestly how I feel. Again, I do not enjoy speaking ill of someone. I do not take pleasure in any of this. But I was asked to speak the truth today, and that is what I have done.
That's tough. That's tough because, you put yourself at risk when you do that, and so that's rough.
So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ann. This is
Thanks,
Tom.
Ann.
Thanks, Ann. The truth is that knowing all this information, even in a secular organization, the CEO would be asked to step down because of the illegal activity, not including the things that are ethical or moral, but because of that, John Henry be removed from the board, and also.
Tony, you broke up.
Look, the illegal activity allegation, all that, I don't know anything. I don't know enough to evaluate that. I don't. I listened to some of the claims and stuff like that in the audio. I don't know. He'll have his response. He'll have his side. I don't know what to say about that one. I don't have enough information about it. All I can comment on is people need to suspend judgment until you have all the facts. And also, I think a lot of what we just heard from Ann was very accurate about the direction of LifeSite News, theologically speaking. And if Ann watches this, you're always welcome to come on the show. I'd love to talk to you about that theological aspect to LifeSite News. We don't have to discuss anything else. I just would like to talk about the theological direction that I've noticed LifeSite News go down for several years now. So you can hear long space now. Okay.
We lost Tony.
So you can hear this is clearly unredacted audio.
Are we hearing from somebody else?
I think Tony was in the middle of saying something.
You bring up a good point, Jen. You say, I wonder if Ann wasn't aware of how much slander was against Pope Francis until his last few years. You bring up a good point that just hit me. Ann said that they don't really read LifeSite News. That would explain why she might not be aware of how bad it was and why it might actually just be inconsistent to say, well, no more Leo bashing, but wait, what about all the Pope bashing under Pope Francis? Well, maybe she wasn't that aware of all the stuff that was going on, because she did say that they don't really read LifeSite News. So that would actually explain it.
He's gone temporarily, so Can we get
I
on?
think there he is. Tony, you back?
Yes, I am. I don't know
We
what
lost-
happened.
We lost you completely. Yeah.
Anyway,
What? Go ahead.
I don't know what y'all heard or didn't hear, but
Rob, can you catch him up with when he dropped off?
Let me try to find the transcript.
I'll skip ahead a little bit.
Leaks happened because he has children. Dead girl. I mean,
All
if
right.
it's
Everything
Diane,
else is basically answering Q&A, it looks like here.
Tony, you back?
yes, I am. I don't know
We
what
lost-
happened.
We lost you completely. Yeah.
Anyway,
What? Go ahead.
I don't know what y'all heard or didn't hear, but
Rob, can you catch him up with when he dropped off?
Let me try to find the transcript. Early on in what you were saying, Tony, so if you could just
organization, it would be because of everything that's been said that we've listened to. Even if we were a secular organization, it would be our duty to ask for John Henry to be removed from the board and his position as CEO. So I would like to make that motion.
Okay, so they're making a motion to vote for that. We then heard the public statement, that they voted him out. We then have seen subsequently that John Henry Westen is contesting it, saying that the bylaws weren't followed. And so he's saying he's still CEO. He needs to be restored. The board needs to restore him. The new CEO needs to restore his access to Teams and all this and that. And there's supposed to be an emergency meeting on July 22nd or something like that. I don't know if they're going to meet sooner than that. I don't know if they're going to give him access, if they're going to say, yeah, we agree with you, if they're going to contest it. I don't know if they're going to go to court over it. I don't know. Seems to me they need to address this as well because this audio was already leaked yesterday. And since it's already in the public forum, already being publicly discussed, that's why I'm addressing it now. And also just trying to give y'all guidance on reminding all of you whenever you have stuff like this, just again, hold off on making judgments on anyone, suspend your judgment and wait until we get all the facts, stuff like that. So I think that is the end because I believe they cut it off when they make a motion.
okay.
There. And there was, again, about 20 minutes that we skipped there. Go to Christine's channel to watch the full thing. I have a link to it in the show notes. And she says that she's doing another show tonight. I don't know, a follow-up to it or something like that. So we'll maybe find out more information. Who knows? So, or maybe she's going to release like the whole file, I think is what she was talking about. I don't know. Y'all can, of course, check in with her. Anyways, those are my thoughts, honest, candid thoughts about the situation. I wish the best for everyone involved. For Bishop Strickland, John Henry Westen, for all the board members, for all the employees, staff. I do wish the best for everyone, but I also hope that there will be a change in direction, not only moving forward, but also that there would be a correction of a lot of the misinformation that was given in the past with the previous pontificate, because it was terrible. It was absolutely horrible. And I documented a lot of that on this channel. I was one of the very few doing that. And it was very disheartening being one of the few people having to address a lot of that. And they did so much damage, so much damage, unheard of, unimaginable damage, because of a lot of information that was put out that was slanted, wasn't true, was skewed, or there was a significant delay in them releasing information that was very damaging to the papacy because of that. And so not repeating all that, not rehashing all of that. Y'all know I have a plethora of videos covering it all, but it was really rough. It was really bad. But I think that if they're going to be consistent here, they can't say, wait, no more Pope Leo the 14th bashing without apologizing for the Pope Francis bashing and setting the record straight. But if they want to leave everything that they put out before, not to set the record straight, but then say no more Pope Leo bashing, they're actually being inconsistent in John Henry Westen. If he wants to do the Pope Leo bashing for the same reasons that he bashed Pope Francis, it would actually be him who's being more consistent in the error than LifeSite News. And I would actually have a little bit more respect for the person who persists in their error consistently than a person who just flip-flops because of the signs of the times, because of the way, the sentiments of the people, because it's cool now to like Pope Leo. Um, I think if that is the reason for the change in direction, I don't have a whole lot of respect for that, unless there is, again, a serious call of repentance, expression of repentance and correction of misinformation. Swoosh says they wear their Pope Swainer t-shirt with great pride. That's cool. Code Switchers Christ Bear says, yeah. So let's see what else we have here. Wild stuff. Yes, indeed. Reap what you sow. Um, let's see. Good confession may be needed, Jen says. Yeah. Confession's not enough. It's, that would be like me just completely destroying your name and reputation and then privately confessing that in the confessional and leaving it at that. It's not good enough. You need to restore a person's name, and they need to do that with Pope Francis. If I were to steal your car and just go to confession and say I stole a car and I keep your car, yeah, no, that's not good enough. I need to return the car in addition to going to confession, right? Not saying that you disagree, but I'm just making it clear for everyone involved. People don't need to think that they can get away with this by just privately going to confession. That's not enough. They need to make restitution. They need to clear Pope Francis's name. There were things that can legitimately be criticized about Pope Francis and the previous pontificate. I agree. I totally agree. But there were a lot of things that they said about him that were just simply not true. So whether you like them or not, that doesn't give you an authorization to say things that are not true. And I do think that happened many, many times. I have to give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they thought that what they were saying was true. Okay. Still wasn't true though. And they need to clear that. Public apology is in order. Yeah, this can't be just swept under the rug and we're just going to change under Pope Leo the 14th and pretend nothing happened. No, you don't get to do that. And I've seen these other content creators who are clearly sedevacantist in private all of a sudden flip-flop under Leo the 14th and pretend like they're pious, faithful Catholics who have always assented to the Pope. And they've just always been following their shepherds and leaders, and they're just so pious. And yeah, no, I'm sorry, I'm not buying that, because literally just the day before they were Pope bashing. And then all of a sudden flip-flopped for no apparent reason other than in widespread popular piety. Leo the 14th is cool. So yeah, I don't really respect that. People need to own up to what they have done in these last few years. And, if people are going to give that a pass, I don't respect that. So people need to hold them accountable and expect a correction for all the damage that they did. Okay, that's going to be all for today. Everybody hit that like button, especially hit that subscribe button if you appreciate the content of this channel. Also, check me out, patreon.com/Reason and Theology if you want to support me. And by the way, let me share my screen, just show you real quick. Go to rtcourses.com, R as in reason, T as in theology. Go there and check out the free ebook that I just posted. Did the Pope teach that salvation through non-Christian religions is possible? Free ebook that just came out. And related to that is a new course that's coming out August the 16th, live course with 2 lectures, and you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. But if you can't attend it live, fret not. Go ahead and purchase the course anyway, because on August 16th, I will post a recording of those lectures, and you will have access to them indefinitely. Anybody who purchases a course, whether you participate live or not via Zoom, either way, you will have those video lectures permanently. So maybe go ahead and visit the link, rtcourses.com, click on No Salvation Outside the Church, where we're going to take a careful look at the Catholic position here and what the church has taught for 2,000 years and how to understand Vatican II in light of previous statements and stuff like that. So go ahead and purchase that course now so you can reserve your spot. All right, that's going to do it for today. See you later.